Welcome, LRT sports fans. So today I have Michelle Cuervo. She's a senior indoor volleyball player from Miami, Florida, and currently attends St. Leo University. St. Leo wasn't Michelle's first school. She transferred from Quinnipiac University in Connecticut her freshman year because of unfortunate circumstances. So she's here to talk a little about her experience with emotional, mental abuse, and hostile environment she endured while at her first school. So Michelle, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, nice. Okay, so just to start things off, so kind of what were your expectations going in? Like, why did you commit to your first school?
My expectations were basically kind of like the normal freshman. Like I expected to have a normal college experience with expectations of volleyball and like having to go to practice, weights, and whatever. On my visit, they kind of sold the school to me as perfect, like it was heaven. They sold the school to me like the girls were like, we're such a tight-knit family and the coaches take care of us, and that was not the case when I got there. So that was what I expected going in. I thought I was going to be taken care of, especially being so far away from home for the first time. So yeah, that's why I committed, and it was
Right.
false.
It was false. So like, what was the first sign that you and your teammates were being like mentally and emotionally abused, or that it was necessarily like a hostile environment? Like, what was kind of the first thing that happened?
Actually, it was probably one of the most traumatic moments. My first practice ever in college, it was preseason. I'll never forget, the gym wasn't done, so we had to practice in like kind of like a clinic, the rec area. And I started off playing really well, and then for some reason the coaches just put me on like a tougher side, and I was trying my best, but they kept bashing me, and like they kept, I don't know, it was just verbally, like they were just whatever. And then at the end of the practice, the coach did a conditioning thing that I couldn't personally finish. Like I wasn't as prepared as I thought I would be. And he singled me out in front of the entire team of, I think it was 17 to 19 girls, and just went in on me saying how I wasn't prepared, how I, like, this is what I get for being out of shape. And it was just, it wasn't fun. It wasn't a good experience, but being singled out really, really did a number. So I was already a freshman, and then that just outcasted me even more. And it just basically domino effect. Like, it
Right.
was awful. Yeah.
So after that kind of happened, like, was there anything that like reoccurred that they kept doing, or was it just kind of like different situations that like would occur?
I can say I felt singled out. I felt left out. I felt like an outcast. That was the main theme, really. And I was never given really a chance to prove myself after that until the next semester came along, which it was just awful. But yeah, the girls, like my teammates, they would put in the bare minimum effort, and when I wouldn't respond because I was going through what I was going through, they would get frustrated and just leave me alone. And I don't think that that program had ever dealt with someone that experienced like anxiety or depression, and it showed with how they handled things. And yeah, just basically like reoccurring like themes that I experienced was just being pushed out of the picture, and like, you know, kind of like, okay, like she's there.
So you think you experienced anxiety and depression from volleyball, or was that just another personal thing and then volleyball kind of added to it?
I've always thought that I've had anxiety, but it wasn't really diagnosed until I got to the college. And then my coaches kind of were like, you need to get on medicine. So I got on my first medication and whatever, and it turned me into a zombie, which just added on top of everything. I was just going through the motions. Like it didn't feel like I was alive.
Right. So like you kind of said that your teammates like pushed you out. So when you came in, you're a freshman. So was there anything that your teammates kind of like warned you about, or did they just like decide to push it out of the way, or like was there anything like that?
One of the teammates was actually a friend from home, and she would say, oh, they're tough, but like she made it seem like it was just like a tough once in a while kind of thing. Like it wasn't as intense as it was. It was just very bitter and hostile. And I remember 3 of my teammates out of the 17, I don't remember how many girls were on the team, but 3 of them in specific were actually very kind to me. Although like I did feel like an outcast, they were very kind to me and like tried, you know, if I would go to them with questions or I felt most comfortable talking to them, they would try, but you could just tell it wasn't really like a welcoming environment until like I decided that I was transferring and I didn't care anymore. And I was just like, okay.
Right. So what was like your breaking point? Like, was there a specific event or did it just kind of lead up to that?
I knew that I wasn't going to come back after, I believe it was the middle of the season, and 2 of the seniors came up to me and said, I don't know how you made it this far. We thought you were going to drop after the first week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was like, oh, thank you so much. I will not be coming back if that's the kind of culture that you guys have. Placing bets on how long freshmen are going to stay, like that's unacceptable. Very opposite of what I was promised going in.
Mm-hmm.
So, and actually when I transferred, the coaches, like a whole thing happened with them and I had said something about it. And one of the girls texted me separately and said, you only transferred because you weren't getting playing time and you don't know anything. And like, she came for me after I even left. So that's the kind of environment I was in. And it's just very sad that she even tried to reach out like that. Like, oh, thank you, I'm doing well, thanks.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Right. So what is the difference between your old school and kind of where you are now? Like, can you just explain different?
God.
Yeah.
I absolutely adore St. Leo. From my first visit, I remember I was talking to one of my friends. I was like, I'm not going to go on the visit. I'm done with volleyball. I was ready to quit. And they were like, oh, no, just go on the visit. You know, like it's free food, free flight. You get to get out of there for a little bit. And I was like, okay, you know. The moment I was picked up from the airport to the moment I was dropped off, my entire perspective of life changed. And meeting people like you, like Peyton, like, you know, my lifelong friends that I'm gonna have forever, it just like, I could tell when you guys told me that it was a family environment, that you guys were gonna take care of me, that it wasn't gonna happen again. I just knew that like it was completely different. And I fell in love with life again. I fell in love with volleyball again. And like being a senior now, it's like, it's very heartwarming to know that where I started and then where I ended up, it was all for a reason kind of thing.
Right. Nice. So do you know anything that happened like with the old program or old coaches? Has anything happened?
The coaches actually got fired because I don't know if it's because of this reason, and I have to say that because like I don't want to sound like it's me, like, because it wasn't. Yeah. I decided I was going to transfer, and I told them, I said, I'm not happy here. And that was even harder because I came back with the second highest vert on the team. I came back like in shape, like ready to go. And they called me into the office and they were just verbally like, we're going to take money from you. We're going to take this, which that's their job as a coach. But the way that they delivered it was just absolutely unacceptable. I remember one of them would sit in front of the door so that we couldn't leave the room while they were, you know, going in on us. So once I said that I was transferring, whatever, I was talking to the, you know, the teammates that I trusted and whatever, and they ended up dropping too. And one of them transferred and was able to go to like the Disney University in Orlando, and like they're doing really well. And a lot of things happened that next year and they got fired mid-season. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I tried reaching out, asking like what had happened, but all I got was from an alumni saying that She was actually the GA at the time when I was there, but I reached out to her and she said, just be glad that you got out when you did.
Perfect.
So I'm grateful that I made the decision to leave.
Right.
But yeah, it just makes it sound so much scarier because like what could have been, but
exactly. So lastly, is there any advice you would give to somebody that's being recruited? Are there any maybe like warning signs that you could like say about like getting recruited or the school kind of you were at? Like, was there anything like that?
Definitely be vigilant about the program, how the program does, and what they sell you when you visit. Always ask, I asked this on my visit, but they lied. I asked, what is your coach like on a bad day? And I think that's like really good, especially if like you can confide in the girls and, you know, the person that's hosting you, make sure that they don't lie to you, make sure that they're telling you the truth, like try to establish that trust very early on in your visit so that they won't sell you the school just because you're a good player.
Right.
So
Perfect.
that's it. And put your mental health first, always.
There you go. Well, thank you, Michelle. Thank you for sharing your story. We loved hearing it, and it's going to help a lot of different people. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem.